Oh, I can leave the meeting if I hear you recording. We'll wait a couple more minutes. It looks like it's 1 minute till 7.
This is a reminder. Take your medicine.
There's somebody new. I see 7 people on there now. I can't get that screen to come up. I don't know why. I must have updated because I have this whole new screen now or something. I may be a little slow finding things today because for some reason my screen is different. I don't know if I had an update or what. Oh, see, sometimes it shows up. Oh, I can go right there. I figured out how it pops up there now. All right. You see who our 7th person is? Yeah. I see Gary.
I'm just trying to pick a unusual virtual background, but I'm not having any luck so far.
Is that where that like hieroglyphic thing is behind your head?
Okay.
How's everybody doing today?
Doing good.
Fine.
We shouldn't be too long today. I only got 4 images from people, but I was going to talk about cropping some of the other ones. Doesn't look like a lot of people are here that sent stuff in, so we'll just play it by ear.
Couple of them are at the hockey game.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We had some people go to the hockey game. I had to be out of town on Tuesday, so I didn't have a choice but to change the date for the tonight's meeting. We have a John and a Stephen Dean. We'll give it 1 more minute. What's a new share? Is that just telling me?
You can pick, because when you share it, you can pick just share this window or share the whole screen.
Oh, gotcha. Nanette, we have another one. We have 9, 10. Oh, somebody else just logged in. Rodney Langston. Do. Ten. That's what we had last night at the Christmas card making rally we had at BNC Camera. That's 10 people if you want to count Joe because he stopped in. Okay. So welcome everybody to another Judge's Corner. I hope you guys are enjoying these things, trying to just discuss pictures and get more insight on some of the entries and some of the scores. Mostly, I think everything tonight scored a 25 or a 26. So I think some of the people are just wondering what it takes to get that one extra point, which is, pretty much the hardest thing to do. Any competition, not even Nevada Camera Club. But this first image is a master entry. The title is Game Time. It was in the People monochrome. It did score a 26. I don't remember if I was one of the judges or not. I remember seeing the image. The comment, there's only one comment. It says, the background too closely matched the face skin tone. I don't feel that was something that it was scored down for. I think that's more of just a comment of relevancy. This is something that I would call a portrait. But with saying that, I don't want to say it's a portrait for Nevada Camera Club competition, because if I was judging this as a portrait, I probably would have scored it down. But I think this is a portrait being in an active sports game, just because I had to do a lot of stuff like this with NASCAR and a little bit with tennis. And you try and just do a close-up image. And I think this is handled very well. I think it's done really good. The eyes are nice and crisp, and that's the most important thing out of most all people or portrait images, is you want the eyes really crisp. I think this is a great monochrome, so I think I believe the score reflects really well for the presentation of this image. I don't know, this might just be a little bit of blur from the depth of field, but it almost looks like something was done to soften the skin. Once again, I don't think I scored this, and I don't think I would have scored down for it, but it does look like there was something going on, because I can see right here, there's like some kind of funny marks in the skin tones. So that's why I think something was done to it. But overall, it's a great picture, and I think it absolutely deserved a 26 score. I think that's great. I don't really see anything you could do to improve what you've done here, because once again, I think this was handled really well. Hey, Rick, do you or Ron have anything you'd like to say about it?
I think for an image during sport, it's pretty impressive that you got this crisp an image. I mean, you can even see the spots of some sweat or something on the cheekbones, which is quite impressive. I thought it was a pretty amazing image.
Yeah, I agree. And everybody's always, the biggest question lately is, what is the wow factor? And I mean, this image has a lot of wow factor, even though it's maybe a little bit more mute than shiny colors or a great sunset. This has a little bit of wow factor to it, just being a sport image and a nice portrait. But at the same point, you still have three judges that you all have to convince of that wow factor. And that's the hardest point. That's the hardest part, to get that single next point. I mean, obviously when this comes up, it's all 8s. And then you have a couple judges that said, wow, I really like it, which scored a 9. And then one judge who says, hey, this is a great image. It just needed a little bit more for me to be that wow factor. But that a 26 is like, I mean, it's right there. It's right at the edge. So I think everything was done really well.
One other comment that I'll make on it is, if you look at the eyes, the person is not looking at us, it's looking up. It's possibly the sign or possibly some information in the stadium, because he's not looking at the camera.
Correct. Yeah, and with the title being game time, that kind of adds a little more interest. Maybe he's looking right at the flag for the national anthem. He could be looking at the scoreboard or the clock getting ready to count down to game time, something like that. So I agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's what adds more to the story because it's more of a mystery. Like, what is he looking at? Is he looking at the coach? Is he looking at another player? It just gives that, I want more. I want more of the story, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, next one. So again, I don't believe I scored this one. This was also in the master category. This was Club Challenge, which was Halloween. It scored a 26. The title is Future Jack-o'-lanterns. And it got one single comment. The comment said, well suited for the
There
Club
we go.
Challenge theme. So I agree. This definitely fits the Club Challenge theme. I love these flowers that are around it.
This is an old one?
I'm sorry.
This one?
Say one more time. If somebody was saying a comment, I didn't actually hear you, so. What I was saying was, I love these flowers, even these green leaves. And I like the creative application on the flowers, the leaves. I do like this creativeness in the pumpkin. The problem I have is this whole thing, it looks blurry, and I'm guessing that's part of what the creator wanted, because I don't think it looks blurry on my screen compared to somebody else's. It's just hard for me to
So now
focus
we're in there.
within these lines.
Because I had it this minute,
Somebody talking?
but now I got the sound to work. Get that? See that?
Yeah. It's somebody's talking and you're just not muted, just so you know. It's not a problem, but I'm just giving you guys a heads up. Anyway, for me, it feels like these lines are not in focus, like this pumpkin here being right in the middle. It's not focused, and I had a hard time. I mean, even just right now looking at it, I don't know if my glasses are dirty or, and that seems kind of like a funny comment, which kind of not supposed to be, but it's like, I truly don't know if my glasses are a little bit dirty or if it was my something was off focus, like on my screen. But I mean, I love the colors, the pop. I love the flowers. So, it would have scored high with me. I just felt the creative part of it kind of didn't work quite as much with this.
I think you're talking about, the manipulation, which obviously occurred. If you look at the top of the stem of that little one in the middle, it caught whatever creativity they did, because you can see it more on the large one to the left. But, having that stem suddenly pop is kind of blue-white, drops it just a little.
Oh, this one here?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like there's an outline on everything. And it's from the creative application. That's what I was saying. Whatever manipulation they used. I mean, I like it. I think all this works pretty well. It's hard for me to look at the because it looks like it's kind of, the lines are out of focus. And that was the only thing. Color wise, I think it has a lot of impact right when it shows up on the screen, just because of the colors. And once again, I love these flowers down here and these green leaf petals all coming in. I think I like that a lot. Anybody else have anything they'd like to say? Once again, this did score a 26, so I think that was a really good score. And I think this had, again, a little bit of wow factor for a couple guys. For me, the wow factor was just that color combination, the oranges and the blues within the pumpkins popping out. Okay, I'm gonna move to the next one. This is Master Color Photojournalism. The title is Don't Fumble. Scored a 25. Comments are the right side should have been cropped more, meaning this side over here, as it does not add to part of the center of interest, which center of interest should be here. Because we're kind of looking at football, this guy carrying the ball. I'm once again, I'm never here to disregard what other judges say, but in my opinion, I think as long as you got these faces all looking in, I think they kind of add to it and they kind of bring you back in. Even if you wander out here, you kind of continue to look back in. One guy that does give me a problem is just maybe this head down here. And the biggest reason I have a problem with that is I've talked about this in a couple of sports images. Actually, we had one last month that I talked about. I really want to see this focus right in here. Now, it looks like the tattoo's in focus. These seams on the ball look in focus. This UNLV looks in focus, maybe this Nike. But I think there you have such a shallow depth of field that a little bit out of focus here. But this guy's Iowa State helmet seems to be right in this line of focus. So this Iowa State is really sharp, especially if I'm looking around at all this stuff that's not. So for me, I think I would cut this right across the bottom and take that sharp focus out. And that would bring me back in here, because my eye does want to travel down here to this focused helmet. And that's the only drawback I have. As far as everybody in here, I'm good with all that. I think it really kind of adds, especially since you got so many red hat helmets surrounding this one black helmet. And you really see the intensity on his face. I think this is done very well. Football's pretty hard to shoot. I've done a little bit of football. It's kind of like football and hockey. It moves so fast. You really got to be on the ball all the time. Anybody else have any comments on this one?
Jerome, I agree with you about the crop, and that would also cut out a good bit of number 19's butt. Since that is like dead center and closest to the camera.
Yeah, and like the other judge said, cutting off some of this right side, maybe he does have a good thought there, because that brings this more, into a PowerPoint or a little bit more off center, or maybe takes him off center. So, cool, all good stuff. Oh, we've been getting good images for all the competitions lately. And you guys have competition tomorrow, right? Okay, this is our last image that was submitted. This is Master Pictorial, obviously color. This scored a 23. Comments were, I like the color of the yellow trees, but not the others. Oh, sorry, no, I can't read my own writing. I like the color of the yellow trees, but not the other, not the gray skies. I think I added a word in there, others, and I'm trying to read it in my head. So I'm going to start over with that. I like the color of the yellow trees, but not the gray skies. It distracts from the image. And then the lower right corner could be burned in, which meaning this lower right corner could be a little bit darkened, what they're saying. They like the yellow trees right here. They did not like the gray skies. Only thing I see is it might just be the sensor on the camera, but it seems to look a little funny around the sky here and here, but these don't. So my thought for a minute that there was a little manipulation done, but I don't think so. I think it's just how these trees look. I do like the color. I kind of like the difference between the dark sky and the yellow. That doesn't bother me so much. Yeah, it'd be nice if we could get rid of this, or if there was, a little bit more color down here. I mean, again, this is a nice picture. It's sometimes landscape has to do a lot with luck of the lighting, luck of what you find, especially when you're looking for fall colors. Fall colors can be there one day and completely not there the next day. I know I've gone a lot of places to shoot fall colors, and I've either just missed it or gotten there just before it's happened. And this is actually a pretty good prime time for all these yellows. I'm thinking this is an aspen here. They look pretty nice.
The
Go
yellow
ahead.
trees kind of make a leading line, but it's a leading line kind of down to the right, which then gets me to that scruffy looking kind of green tree. So
Right here.
that off, then it doesn't quite lead me as much to the gray skies as well.
Yeah, and I almost think maybe if you cut right in here and maybe right through there, that might help it a little bit. I did not crop this one, but that might have done a little bit more there. Kept you more up in the top. One thing the photographer added as just a photographer's comment is the creator, meaning the creator, added, "I like the gray skies. I wanted to create a mood transition from summer to winter to fall." And I kind of feel that's what the creator has done. I kind of see that. And once again, I kind of like the gray against the yellow. I think it kind of adds, because, I think this is a lot better than having just a clear blue sky up there with no, no texture or anything to it. So,
Yeah, I like those clouds.
yeah. Okay, so that was the 4 entries I got this month. We'll see if we get more next month after tomorrow's competition. But one thing I said I was going to do, and I missed it last month, is I picked out a couple pictures that we're going to talk about cropping and composition a little bit. I don't have all the stats on what this image was, but we talked about this a couple months ago. And the plane is just kind of bullseyed in the center. So it kind of takes away from what the image has to it. Oops, sorry, I touched my own screen. It kind of takes away from the image. So I do remember one of the comments were that we could take some of the bottom off and some of the front off and be a little bit closer to the image. So I kind of did that, keeping the same dimensions. So same dimensions here. I just cropped it in, keeping those same dimensions. I tried to keep the plane a little bit higher, bringing some of the front in, a little bit off the bottom. Actually, I took a little bit more off the top because I wanted to keep the plane high. This doesn't really help it that much, I don't think. I don't think there's a lot of difference outside of it's not bullseyed anymore. If now this plane looks a lot crisper, but I had a small file. So cropping in closer all the way around, I just kind of wanted to show what it would look like. And again, it's just still a nice picture. My comments were really the best part of this picture is just this sun on the bottom. So if I do one more crop, I would actually add a little bit to it, give that plane a lot of room to fly. I added a little bit more to the bottom, keeping the plane high, making it look like it's way above us, high in the sky. And I think I prefer this a little bit more. Now, that doesn't mean redo it this way and add it into a competition because it's going to do better. I'm just kind of telling you what I think, what I feel back from the start with a dead center. I feel that this adds a lot more drama to the image. It adds a little bit more story, adds a little bit of composition to that. And now other judges might not. They might prefer that tighter crop. So this is just thoughts. Anybody like to talk about this one a little bit?
I like your story version, but as a pilot, I like the fully cropped one. Because now, wow, that's my play. I want to fly that one.
Yeah. So like this one here, tight crop.
Yeah.
Yeah. And once again, I want everyone to know that it's a little bit grainy because I cropped it so much. I had a small image to start with. So, I think this one here looks a little bit crisp and this one here is a little bit more crisp, but and that's, if we talk about wow factor, I think this plane has wow factor, but you're going to have a difference of opinion whether you have this much space around it or this much space around it to get that one extra point. So that's going to be tough. You've always got 3 judges. So you got to be able to wow factor 3 judges, not, just 2 of them to get that 27. Okay. Next image that I did was this one. So interesting thought is I think that I did judge this one. I can't remember if it was last month or 2 months ago. I think it was 2 months ago. I think I did judge this one, and I know this got a 27. I think my comment was a little bit saying that I almost didn't give it the 9 because of that sun being so bullseyed in the center. And oddly enough, I was sitting watching the annual, the juried the other night. I was sitting watching the juried, and this image got a 27 in Nevada Camera Club competition, but it got 4 thumbs down in the first run of the juried. So 4 judges threw it out.
Wow.
And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm saying that's just the difference. And everybody, like I said, most of the questions I get is what's the wow factor? Well, although this had wow factor for 3 judges in Camera Club, it had no wow factor whatsoever for 4 judges outside of the club. And that's just the difference. It's not always something that you can do. Now, I'm not saying, I didn't know who the judges were, so I don't know their train of thought. I don't know exactly what their background is as far as photography or field, but I just wanted you to know that because that can happen. Although, once again, my comment was, I just felt it was off balance with this so much bald sky up here. I really like this cloud here, and I love all these leading lines and this color and the reflection. Some people might say this is split in half because you have so much sun reflection over here and they like this. And some people are going to say, they might like this subdued color more. So cropping wise, I took the bottom quarter. So this is the bottom half. I put this sun, I put the horizon in a 2/3. I put the sun in a 1/3. So this is a bullet point. And this doesn't have as much impact as the whole image, but I did that on purpose. So if we move up to the top where I said I liked all this cloud coverage and stuff, actually, I think this looks a little bit better. I have the horizon at the bottom 1/3 and I still have this on the right 1/3. So once again, putting that sun in a bullet point, I think it adds a little bit more composition to the image. We can go one more step, go to the top right quarter, keeping this at the bottom 1/3. It's a little bit off of the left 1/3. Once again, this is the bullet point, but I think this part up here with this blue sky kind of kills it a little bit. Doesn't give us as much impact. All the prettiness is right here, this reflection in the water. So if we go down to this bottom corner, bring that back up to the 2/3 or top 1/3, and this over to the left 1/3. Once again, that's the bullet point. I think this adds a lot of leading lines. You've got all that sunset in the sky, a little bit of the steam from the geyser going off. And I think this is maybe a little bit better composition than where we started with just that bullseye. And I understand, you seen this and being there, you just wanted to show everything that's in this image. And I get that. But sometimes, maybe this would have done better and the jury with outside judges if they were more worried about the composition, because that reminds me of a guy that used to be in the camera club, and Dennis Gershik, and he was a stickler on technical aspect over any wow factor whatsoever. If it didn't meet all the technical aspects of, the lighting, the composition, following the rules, it would never get a high score with him. So, and that's kind of what this reminded me of. Anybody like to say anything about this one? Cool. All right. We're going to go on to the next one. And that was this one here. I don't remember. I know this one got a high score. It was either a 26. It might have gotten a 27 also on the same day as the last one. But the biggest problem was someone didn't like this boat over here. And I think I had commented, there might have been 2 comments about having too much water here in the front. Only other thing I did when I cropped it is I did take this thing out. At first I thought it was a stick, so it kind of bothered me being there, just a little stick in the middle of the water. But actually, I think it's, if you see this bird right here, I think this just happened to be a bird diving into the water right at the time they took the picture, which is actually an amazing catch, but it's just so far away, it just kind of distracted from my eye. But as far as cropping, I took that one out on the side, kept it to the same dimensions. And I think it's maybe a little bit, but I couldn't get too much more out of the bottom. I tried to keep this at the top third, and I tried to keep this at about the bottom third. Well, more crop is a little bit tighter. This kind of drops below the bottom third, but I think it looks good. I took off a little bit more off of this side. I like having this swirl in the water. It kind of gives us a little bit of an S curve just to, if you come down here to this water, it kind of can bring you back in, following that boat back in. I like these boats on the side. I think there was also somebody that, it was kind of a joke thing saying, oh, 8 boats, an odd number would be better. But really, if you think about it, this is a 1, these 3 are 2, and these 3 are 3, just because the way they're laid out, a little triangle, little line, these 2 are together. So it's kind of 3 subjects of boats. I might be stretching it a little bit, but that's how I feel about it. One more crop. I kind of like keeping this over here. It's still kind of out of the way out on the side, but just taking some off the bottom and try and keep this again at the top third, this at the bottom third, and make it a little bit more of a slim line. And I think that, we still have this little wake following the boat in, kind of keeps you in here. I like the boats in the mist. I think this was done really well. Cool. Anybody want to say anything about that one? Am I putting anybody to sleep, or is everybody still awake?
Oh, no.
All here.
I'm just checking. Okay, let's go to the next one. So I talked about this one before. Does anybody remember this one? This was actually the very first judge's corner that I did. And I talked about what I can't remember the scores. I can't remember any of the comments and stuff, because this is the very first one. So this is almost 4 months ago, but I did dig this image back out. And what I did is I did a live clip and just said, really get rid of this top part of it and just keep this bottom part, because I thought this bottom reflection was the best part of this whole image. And we're going to get to that, but we're going to go kind of slower. So what I did is I went ahead and added a sky in this one. Since I was playing around with Photoshop, I went ahead and put a sky in. I think if we go from this to this and you want to keep this image, I think this will help a lot. I'm not good enough to make this reflection on the bottom. You'd probably have to do that to really make the whole thing work. And that would take a little bit more time for me. But I think just changing that sky helps it a lot. If we go back and forth and look at that. But really what I liked is this part of the boat. And I think, you know, this was, I think, cropped an 8x10 format, keeping a little bit of the boat. So you have the upside down boat with all this reflection. I thought was really nice. And I think this would score higher than that original image any day. Especially, you know, this could be in a creative category and it could be in still life or even just an unclassified. But I think that is a really cool looking boat.
Which
went
category
one-
was it in?
I do not remember, Daryl. But going one step further, what I did is I went back to the original image and I cropped 8x10 just on the boat right above the water line. And then I added a little texture to it and a little bit more saturation and color. And that's what I came up with for a finished product. So what's everybody think from this to this when it's the same image? A little bit of manipulation to that.
I think adding the sky balanced out the original picture a lot better than it was. And this is an intriguing picture. The crop with some of the boat, it's not the reflection, I think is also a better presentation of it.
And I just did this for fun, just to show, you know, sometimes when you see things, there's a lot more there than just the original idea of what you see. If you take more time and look around. Well, that was all I had for today. Anybody has anything else you want to talk about or questions or responses to any of these? We can go back if we need to.
I think your idea of adding the sky and clouds is really excellent. Again, what it shows us is the day you take your shot, you may not have the best day, but adding those sky and clouds really helps the image.
Cool. Well, I thank everybody again for coming.
Are we gonna do this in December?
Thank you, Jerome.
You're welcome. Yeah, Stephen was just asking if we're gonna do it in December. I will go ahead and plan something for early in December, like maybe next week, just right after the holidays. But what's the e-board is the Tuesday, so maybe we'll do a Wednesday or Thursday again right after e-board, and I'll see if we get some images entered. Okay. All right, guys.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Thanks, Jerome.
Have a
Okay,
good night
thank you,
tomorrow
Jerome.
night.
Got some great cropping tips and insight tonight. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Jerome,
All right, guys. Good night.
Good night.
night all.